And we used to go online looking for other Kenyan bloggers, and basically because I'm a little bit lazy, I decided I'll build something that will make them come to me rather than make me go to them. That's when we started the Kenyan Blog Library, and it's now hosted at Kenyan Limited. Currently it aggregates over 800 Kenyan blogs, pushing towards 900 and 1,000. We have about a 50-50 gender balance split, and about a 50-50 bloggers at home and bloggers in the diaspora. So the 2007 election, what I like to call the coming of age of the Kenyan blogosphere. Some things to remember is that there was no large planned blogging initiative. We never sat down in one room and said, hey, there's an election coming up, you should do this, and you should do that, and maybe we should think about having this. I know many news organizations organize journalists, their own professional journalists, into teams that were meant to blog. But as the Kenyan blogosphere, the citizen journalists, in inverted commas, we did not sit down at any one point before the election and work out a complete strategy on how we were going to blog the election. Maybe one or two personal or private conversations, but nothing large and public. There was a lot of excitement in the blogosphere, as there was in the country, about what was looking like a political transition. I remember, 16 cabinet ministers lost their seats and all that. And there was a lot of excitement and what looked at a very civilized, very professional. We were proud to be Kenyans. I don't think I've ever been as proud of being a Kenyan as when I was uploading pictures of orderly voting queues and policemen standing by as people cast their ballots on election day. And I voted in Westlands. My polling station was at St. Mary's School, and we went back at around midnight and found the ballot boxes being opened and the counting going on in an orderly manner. A group of about 20, 30 people observing everything, Commonwealth flag. I don't think I've ever been prouder to be a Kenyan. And there was a lot of interest globally. Lots of calls from the international media like, hey, how are things on the ground from a citizen point of view? But there's even more interest locally and nationally, where people are calling from different parts of the country saying, how are things in Nairobi? And we are calling them saying, how are things in Kakamega? How are things in the Red Zone? How are things in Mombasa? And that was reflected as well as in the comments on the blogs. Things start to get strange in many ways, and bloggers were amongst the first to raise concerns. I know in my experience, even though I voted in Kolomani, I voted in Westlands, my parents voted in Kolomani in Western Kenya, and from my observation of how the vote count was done in Westlands, where the presidential votes are counted first, and then the parliamentary, and then the local candidates. If you look at how the results were released in parts of Kenya, for example, in Kolomani, the parliamentary and civic candidates' results were announced before the presidential results, which hadn't been released a day or two later. So saying, hey, something strange is going on here. There's not that much. I mean, it doesn't seem to be making sense. So fast forward to the swearing in and the speed with which the chaos hit. It quickly came through that blogs had become the premium tool for reporting what was happening. And that's my opinion anyway. The reasons I have for this is the speed. The minute the candidates, the minute the president was sworn in, the blogs were on the story. That evening, the tension in Nairobi was already rising, and people were writing like, hey, when I was driving home, supermarkets are starting to fail, there are people out on the streets. So there was a lot of the speed and how the speed of what was happening on the ground made blogs a premium tool, because we didn't have to wait until the next morning or the next edition of the newspaper. You could just get home and write about what was going on.